Okay, can you hear us?
I can hear you fine.
Oh, and we can hear you. Wow, we're getting it right out of the gate. That's a good one.
Good job, Rex.
Yeah, hey, it was just pure, nothing but pure luck. And I understand you're one of the people in Benton, so I'll just start off with this out of the gate. You're one of the people in Benton with a fiber connection? Is that what you told me?
I do. I have AT&T fiber.
Wow, you got that fast internet up there in Benton.
I tell you, it's good.
Yeah. All right. So, how I'll just start off with how was the National Night Out thing?
Well, it was good. It was good. Also, spent half the time at my grandson's baseball game on Shed Road down there. I can't remember the name of the field, but it's over there, Shed Road in Swan Lake.
Well, that's always a good time. Okay. So we
Yeah,
were just we were just talking about lawlessness and all sorts of things. So I have no idea where this conversation is going to go, but we
Well,
did give the. Oh, go ahead, dude.
let me steer it just a little bit, Rex. I
Yeah, go
mean,
ahead.
you're a little too aggressive. Let me give Andy the soft approach because he's not a politician. I mean,
no,
look, Andy, you were a educator,
yes,
and
sir.
that's your background. And some people say, oh, you know what, that's a bad thing. You know that makes you by default a historical government employee guy. Blah blah blah. I get that too because I was a fireman, therefore that makes me a government employee. I get it, but you can be a government employee and you can have a limited government idea. And with that said, what drew you to jump in this police jury race? And I want to point out too, and I want to preface this that we tried to before bringing you on the show, we tried to set up a debate with your opponent between you and him. And we've been critical of your opponent. We haven't been critical of you. There are some things we could say about you, but we're going to give you the choice to do. But your opponent declined to debate you. And what drew you to get into this race?
Well, Duke, it came down to I believe in my whole heart that every politician, and I include this all the way from the White House to, to Bossier Parish. I believe in my heart of hearts that every politician should have to answer for their previous term. Whether what their actions were, what their non-actions were. So um, he wasn't going to have to do that. I live in this district. I can't do anything about anyone else's district, but I can do something about my district. And I called up Jill Sessions and I asked her if anyone's running against Philip, and I decided to throw my hat in the ring. But I'm gonna tell you, the decision wasn't that day on Thursday. It was August the 10th. My decision basically was made back December of the previous year. That I was thinking about, serving my community. I've been doing that since I retired from teaching and coaching. I've been serving as a volunteer for KBB, Keep Bossier Beautiful. I'm a constable here in Benton, making very little money to do something that just needs to be done. It's one of those positions, and I guess you can say in government that has to be taken care of, and there was an opening, so I jumped in and wasn't even I guess it was
Well,
unopposed last year.
all
There's a
right.
couple of things I do. Let me finish here. But I'm also on the MPC Adjusters Board as a volunteer. We meet once a month if we have to meet. And I'm also working for the school board. I am the bus disciplinarian for the school board. So I've been doing a lot of things on the outside, and I just think I needed to do something on the inside. So that's why I
Yeah.
run.
Well, let's cut to the chase here.
Okay.
It wouldn't it be accurate that it's probably a lot of the things that took place regarding the Cypress district? It wouldn't that be accurate?
Well, that is very accurate, and Rex would know that because I've been in probably not as many meetings as he's been in, but I've been in quite a few of them. I was almost kicked out of one of them. I think I was my first one too. But I believe you need to stand up and speak your mind when you think things are going wrong, and I guess that's really what started the whole process. I actually tried to get Mr. Rodgers to appoint me to Robert Berry's position probably a year ago, and I called him and gave him my resume, and I thought it needed to be done a long time ago, which everyone does. Everyone knows that's involved with the CBB board, and what went on for the last, I guess, few years. I won't say how many, but a few years. But so you're right. You're right, Duke. I mean, that's what really steered me to. I won't say politics, but I will say get involved at a deeper level.
All right. So let's clear up a few things or get a few things out of the way. So the Cypress district was and the issues there and with Robert Berry were kind of the precipitant to you thinking about this, right? About running for the police jury, I guess it'd be fair to say. But what are some of the other issues around your district? So I'll throw you the softball here. What are some of the other issues around District 3 that you've seen that you feel could be better addressed?
Well, I'm going to tell you, Rex, I'm not going to sling any mud. I'm not going to throw anything out there. I just want my voters to actually be informed of what's been happening. I've talked to quite a few of the voters here in District 3, and one story after another of things that have been happening and really things that have not been happening. Everyone talks about infrastructure, and the roads. I mean, everyone talks about the roads. Now, most of our roads here in the district are okay. I mean, nothing's great, but they're okay for a rural area. I guess you would call this kind of a rural area, even though we've got quite a few rooftops, around this district. But there are some roads that are in needed repair, and when you look at and I've on video, I've mentioned I think the voters ought to go and look at the 3-year plan, the 3-year overlay plan, that the police jury actually does, and you can see that over the last 2 times on the 3-year plan or 2 terms of the 3-year plan, our district has not been represented well. For as many rooftops and many subdivisions in this district, no, we're not represented well with infrastructure. And then you talk about the other infrastructure. How about internet access? Y'all mentioned that I have pretty good internet access. You're right. It just happened 4 or 5 months ago that we were able to get it on West Lakeshore. But it was a tough time going there for a while, dealing with Suddenlink, then Optimum, and then. But what I was trying to get to is, I would say at least half of this district is still using HughesNet and things that and it's just it's not good. I mean, it's satellite, and when it rains, you don't have any internet. When the wind blows here, you don't have any internet, or at least I didn't. And people using I don't really know all the internet access around here, because I've been fortunate on West Lakeshore here to have just Suddenlink and AT&T.
Now, Andy,
yes, sir.
I appreciate that, and we were hopeful that there was a high speed internet provider up here in the Benton area in our district. I live right here with you. I mean, look, we're like neighbors. So I know that there was something. It kind of fell by the wayside, and it didn't kind of come to fruition to address that problem. But I want to segue off of that, and I appreciate the fact that you're wanting to try to address that issue. But I want to get back on the Cypress District thing. Your opponent that you're running against, when he ran, and Rex, I'm giving you plausible deniability to be out of here because you had a role. So I'm going to take the lead here. He took a stance on trying to address issues that people on the lake had. And I recall specifically in Benton, there was a kind of a town hall meeting by the Cypress Black Bayou folks. And you were there. I was there. You were there. Rex was there. Philip Rodgers was there.
I was giving the presentation.
I was sitting right beside Philip Rodgers.
Right. Yeah. And And I specifically remember Philip Rodgers saying one thing, and it really stuck out in my mind. And I got to tell you, I had a flashback last night. I mean, Philip Rodgers said, y'all just don't understand. Y'all just don't understand. And I remember you about jumped out of your chair.
I did. And actually, he led that statement off with, "Are there any lawyers in this room? No. Y'all just don't understand what's going on."
Right. Yeah.
And
Well,
yeah, I almost fell out of my seat.
So,
uh,
I'm just
well,
wondering.
let me jump
Go
in
ahead,
here
Rick.
for a second. So, and not to completely bash Philip, but the truth is, you got to let your potential voters out there know what separates you from Philip. And this is one of the big issues because, look, full disclosure, I helped Philip with his last campaign. You can go check the campaign finance reports. The videos that he had. The videos that he had, almost all of them, I produced. I've told the story many times. We rode around in the truck, and he told me how he was going to do something about the Cypress District and Robert Berry because that was a hot button issue with me, even though I'm not in District 3. All right. And so at that meeting, his contention was that, he was, and he said this more than since then, too, that it was not really that many people. That, we were a dozen people or whatever he said at the meeting, or maybe a couple of dozen or whatever at that particular meeting. Now, Andy, I'm going to ask you, we sent around a petition a while back, a digital petition, had no legal bearing, but we sent it around. Did you sign that petition to address or express your concern about the Robert Berry situation?
Not only did I sign it, I also got a bunch of people to sign it also.
Right.
I was completely behind that.
Okay.
And I was, yeah.
And as best I can remember, it was approximately, because I did all the digital stuff, it was about 500 people overall that was presented to the police jury by Renee Hall. Literally, she handed copies at the meeting. So it just seems disingenuous for Philip to say that it was, only a couple of dozen people. He repeated that not too long ago. So maybe tell everybody again, and we've covered it ad nauseum, so you don't have to spend much time on it, but why is that Cypress District issue? Because you saw it last night. You were at the Republican Executive Committee meeting. Robert Berry's name came up almost as much as everybody else. Why is that such an important issue in District 3? But I would also remind everybody in 65 of the 80 some odd precincts in Bossier Parish. What is wrong? Or was?
Well, before I say anything else, I want to come up front and tell the people that are watching this. I see 99 here on my screen. Understand this. This is what I'm talking about. And when we mentioned Philip Rodgers or even Robert Berry, this is a political life. People, this is not personal life. You cannot consider this mudslinging like some of the people that I've actually had to contact or contacted me on Facebook and saying that, we don't need to be doing that. Political life needs to be public. And especially with, the culture and the social media that we have, it's not hard to do. So when you actually make a statement in a meeting, like you just mentioned earlier, and I mentioned earlier, or you make a statement, at your job, police jury, then you're held to that statement. I mean, that is your public statement from your political office, not just you personally. That's from your political office. So I want to say that first of all. This is, what I'm saying right now, and what I've been doing my whole campaign is I've been asking questions. Okay. And I've been stating facts, political facts or public facts, just repeating them, what actually I witnessed, or it's been reported. In writing a lot of times. So this is not considered mudslinging. I just want people informed about what they're going to do when they go to the polls. And it used to be click that, that lever, but so that's first of all. And to answer your question, Rex, how does that affect? You said 65 districts in our parish. It affects us a great deal when you have someone in a position that is being unlawful, or is holding the position unlawfully. I'm sure you don't live on the lake and you don't live in this district, Rex, but you were involved quite a bit. Why would you be involved? Because of a wrongdoing. Okay, that's why I get involved, and that's why I speak up. When I speak up, it's because of something being done wrong. It's not the right way of doing things. It's you could say sometimes they're unlawful, but most of the time it's unethical. And when something is unethical, I'm going to speak up. I'm going to say what I believe and
Do
what
you,
I feel, from my heart. So
Andy, do you think that it's bad karma for a police jury? Let's say, for example, if you had been on the police jury when the bridge coming over Black Bayou was closed, and Ed Burchett and my wife are pointing out in the comments, for over 14 months, people were having to drive around to Benton. I mean, do you think it's bad karma for a police jury in an open police jury meeting to debate issues in front of the public, for all of the public to be able to see and hear the arguments? I mean, do you think that's wrong?
do I think it's wrong for who to
For
do
the
that?
for the public to see dissension among police jurors, to see them debate and not agree on issues, and you know disagree on things. Do you think that's a bad thing?
No, Duke. In fact, that's why it just blows my mind when I go to a police jury meeting and every vote is unanimous and there is no debate. It's already been decided, or everyone is on the same. I'm sure maybe everyone's like minded, and or there's ESP going somewhere or something. But unanimous vote on everything with no debate. I don't see how that's happening. I don't understand that. I mean, someone ought
And
to ask questions.
and that's my point. It seems like all of our government, and I'm not just talking about the police jury, but I'm talking about from the city of Bossier, in which you've got no dog in that hunt. But all of our government, it's as if it's all choreographed. And the thing is if we all want to watch a play, or we all want to watch a TV show, we'll defer to Hollywood to give us that. But when it comes to decision making in our lives that affect our lives, we should be able to get the raw, unfiltered, unadulterated truth about the issues. And I think that our local governments have been infected with, I hate to say it, but this woke ideology of they're supposed to have all the answers. I don't expect Andy Modica to have all the answers, but you know what I do expect of Andy Modica if he was to be my police juror? I expect him to be able to debate with somebody, and then if he gets his teeth kicked in, to say, you know what? I think you're right, and say it publicly. And I'll respect him or that politician more for having that debate and dialogue and acknowledging, you know what? Your idea is better than mine. I think you're right. You know what? I respect that. Why do we not have that in politics anymore?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you because, like I said, it blows my mind that that you have unanimous votes every single time. Now I know some of them are rubber stamp situations and all that, but at least there should be a question thrown out. When someone is actually approaching the police jury at the podium and given their spill on why this should happen. I see a few people up there actually asking questions and everything, but you know what is that? I mean, I don't understand why there isn't any debate among jurors. I don't understand that. I mean, I watched C-SPAN for years. Okay, and there's debate going on before they have a vote. There's there's fights out there, and I've been wrong before, and I'll be wrong again. Okay, and I'll apologize when I'm wrong, and I will make sure that everyone knows that I was wrong and you were right. Let's get it done right. Let's actually do something the right way.
Okay.
So
So
yeah.
let's go back in time just a little bit, not too far, a couple of months ago. You were at a police jury meeting and they were doing the nominations to basically replace Robert Berry. Robert Berry was, he applied. He was one of them. You had also applied for the position to be the nominee to the Cypress board from the Bossier Parish Police Jury. Let me make sure I say all that right. And you made the comment that basically, I'm probably paraphrasing you a little bit. You can correct me, but basically that the fix was in. So 2 questions. Do you want to elaborate on that any? And then number 2, what do you think about the new nominee from the Bossier Parish Police Jury? What do you think about Rodney? Do you think he'll do a good job?
Well, yeah, going back to that meeting, I wasn't even told I was going to be speaking that meeting. I actually applied way before that actually happened, before they actually started taking applications. And because like I said before, I wanted that position when it should have happened and not at the end of his term. It should have happened a couple of years back. But so I was trying to get that position for a while because I live on the lake. I've got 10 feet of lakefront property, okay, where I can just pull my boat up on the grass and I'm good. But that 10 feet cost me quite a bit of money, so I've been interested in that for a long, long time. But yeah, when I walked up there, I wasn't prepared to make a speech. But I already knew who was getting the job. I already knew Rodney Madden was Philip's man, and I knew Philip had the votes. How did I know that? I'm not telling you, but I knew that. And when I stepped up there, since I didn't have a speech ready, I just shot from the hip. And I said, I don't know why you need to hear me talk. This is already a done deal. And then a few of them asked me how I knew that, and that can't happen because we haven't even discussed this. And I said, okay, sure, okay, and but Rodney Madden, sure, he's a good choice. I understand that he really didn't want it, and Philip had to talk him into it, is what I was told. But the first meeting that I went to where Rodney was in there, I think he did a great job because he stepped up and he conversed with the public. He conversed with the room. He allowed people to talk and speak their mind, and he talked back to them and he gave them answers. And when he didn't have the answers, he asked for the answers, So there was a dialogue for the first time since I've been on this lake. There was actually a dialogue in that room, in that nature center. And that was a breath of fresh air. And Kelly Long, I want to talk about her. Kelly Long, she stepped up to the plate when Rodney did. Okay.
Right.
And when Rodney started doing that, and Kelly Long followed along with her, and she was very personable also. And the lawyers barely even got involved, where they've ran the show for the last 3 years, so
Well, and just to
right.
remind everybody, we've got that video posted, so y'all can go back and watch that. But I would agree with you because I was at that meeting too, and I've known Rodney. Full disclosure, he's been a client of mine for a while. I buy tires from him and all that, so I've known him for quite a while. I think he was a good choice, but you got it right that Rodney was having a conversation with everybody there, and so was, like you said, so was Kelly. So I was pleasantly surprised too, having attended, like you, many of the meetings where it was an absolute circus.
Now, I will tell you this. Now, I listened to everyone's speech, and I listened to everyone's experience. I didn't get to see their resumes, but I can't remember the guy's name that actually applied with me. But I thought he was the best choice. I mean, just listening to him and his qualifications, and like I said, I can't remember his name, but I thought he was the choice to be made. But like I said, Rodney's done a great job so far. So that, I mean,
Uh-oh.
that's a good thing.
We lost you, Duke. It says you muted yourself. See if you see if you can unmute, or you may have to. There you go. Gotcha.
Well, Bo was notifying me that I should be considerate of the fact that there may be a black van pulling up outside of the premises. So,
Are
had
the helicopters
he,
out there hovering
yeah,
over the lake yet?
he's guarding, while I'm, anyway. So,
After
hey,
last night, so
Andy, look,
Yes, sir.
I gotta know. So when you get on the police jury, I mean, are you just going to do whatever Patrick Jackson tells you to do?
Well, you heard my question last night when I asked Juliana Parks why she said that they require us to take Patrick Jackson's advice, and that stuck with me. So I had to ask the question: did you really mean that? And but no, my neighbor down the road is a good friend of mine. He said you need to put this in your campaign that you're not going to drink the Kool-Aid. And and I've had someone ask me just recently, what do you mean by that? I said, well, you remember Jim Jones? And oh no, okay, well, whatever. No, I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid. I can promise you that. That's one of the things I'm standing for, and I'm 100% guaranteeing my constituents, people that are voting for me, and the rest of you that may not vote for me. Okay, when I get in, and I'm not saying if, I'm getting in. When I get in, okay, I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid. I am going to ask the questions. Okay, and I am going to stick up for the people here in District 3 in Benton.
well, I got to ask you then right off the bat. Of course, we heard the lame excuse last night that they're supposed to be adding a better audio and sound system. I mean, it's not like that's terribly difficult. I mean, Duke and I are complete amateurs, and well, we got pretty good audio and sound with
I
this.
wouldn't say you're an amateur, Rex.
Um, but I want to make sure that when you get in there, you're going to make darn sure that the meetings are much easier for the public to see and hear, and that they're able to live stream those effectively on Facebook and YouTube for that matter. It's not that hard to do both.
That's supposedly in the works already, like you said. But I'm not a technician either. My wife had to set up this computer for me, so
Hey, she did a good job.
thank you. So that's not my forte, but I've already decided. My number one thing that I'm going to do for this district is I'm going to have a town hall meeting. And I tell you what, I'll invite every single one of the other police jurors to come up here, and I'll invite their constituents up here, and we'll have a meeting, as big a room as we need to, and we'll discuss what's going on in Bossier Parish, and we'll discuss what's going on with that district or the issues you have. I'm going to do that once a month until no one starts showing up. I'm going to continue to do that. If I get one person in there, we're going to have a town hall meeting once a month, and we're going
That
to
sounds
start
like a
that.
plan. Yeah, let us know. We'll be glad to come up there and cover some of them or live stream them if you want. So just let us know.
You know, I love that idea. I saw that I think I even got maybe a piece of mail that even said that. In fact, I may have it right here. Anyway, yeah, I got it somewhere. Anyway, yeah, I read that you said that. Hang on. Yeah,
See.
Coach Andy, right there.
Yeah,
I got it. And I appreciate that. Why is it that the existing police jury, once they get in there, why is it, do you think, that they suddenly feel like that they know what's best and we shouldn't even consider what the public thinks or disregard them? You even heard a police juror last night dismissing people in Bossier City, and their thoughts on term limits, for example. I it makes me scratch my head why they suddenly, once they get elected, they feel like they have all the answers, and that everyone that's just out there in the community, you no longer matter. Your voice doesn't matter. Your opinion doesn't matter. We know what's best. Does Andy Modica know what's best for everybody?
Oh no, I'm not a know-it-all. I mean, my first wife called me a dumb jock. So, but I don't know everything, but I know how to ask a question. I know who to call if I need an answer. Okay, but I will never say that. I will never say ever that I know everything. I know what's right. Okay, I know right from wrong, and if I don't have the answer, someone's got to have it, and I'm gonna take. I'm not gonna take the lowest bid. I'm gonna take the highest bid. On that question. So,
Does it matter more what Andy Modica wants or what his constituents want?
I thought I was a representative of the district. I'm
Good
not.
answer.
I'm not going for king of the district. I'm running for representative of the district.
So even if
Okay.
you don't agree, if the people of your district want it, that's what you're going to support.
Yeah, you throwing me softball question here? That's pretty easy. That's pretty
I just
easy answer.
no. I'll be honest. Exactly what I'm doing is getting you on record to say, to say what it should be. That's what I'm doing.
Well, you know what? You can have my job if you ever catch me doing something that's not right for my district. I can promise you that. You can
enough.
have my job.
All right.
Now, am I for term limits? If you're asking that, I signed the thing first day it came out. Okay.
That
Yes,
is
I
true.
am. Am I for term limits for the Bossier Parish? Yes. What was it? The open rule law or something? Open rule charter?
Oh, the home rule charter? Yes.
Home rule charter. I knew it, something like that. I'm for that. If that's going to give us term limits, if that's going to make us transparent, to our parish, then I'm for that. I'm for transparency. Okay. And I believe the biggest thing that we have in this country right now, the worst thing that's going on in this country is career politicians. I mean, if you think back to our founding fathers, they were farmers and businessmen, and they went to Congress for 4 years, and then they came back and they got back into the fields, picked up a hoe, picked up a plow, and went back to work. We got people up there like Joe Biden's been there 50 years. He's never had another job. Well, I think he taught, didn't he, in some community college? But
maybe.
I mean, that's ridiculous that we have these people, that are 90 years old. Now, I'm not trying to throw her under the bus or anything, but a 90-year-old politician, representing her district or her state, and people like Joe Biden and what is his name? The one that keeps freezing on TV.
Well, I appreciate the fact that you're paying attention because
right.
Well, I promised my wife 2 years ago that I wasn't going to watch the news anymore because it was depressing me. But I do turn on C-SPAN because that's not news. That's straight from the horse's mouth. That's not with anyone's opinion or anyone's, take on that, So
Jessica Maddox says McConnell.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell.
Thank you. There you go, Mitchie.
Yeah. All right. So you were at the Republican meeting last night. So yeah. I don't necessarily expect you to throw any other police jurors under the bus, but Duke, correct me if I'm wrong. The only police juror that signed the term limits petition has been Charles Gray. Is that correct?
To my knowledge, that's correct. There's been a couple of candidates that are running that have
signed
the. But Charles Gray was the only active Bossier Parish police juror that signed the petition.
Now,
how long has Charles Gray been there? He's been there quite a long time.
That's a good question. Right? Yeah, he's been there for a while. Yeah, I think so.
And he wants term limits. I mean, that could tell you right there, that man, even though he's a Democrat, but I mean, he wants term limits. He wants to do the right thing. I was able to talk to Charles Gray for about 30 minutes after the 9/11 ceremony down there at the Bossier Civic Center. And we talked for 30 minutes about all of that, about term limits, about what's going on with the police jury. And he was very upfront with me and told me some stories that I needed to know and told me some things that I should watch out for. And he was helping me out, So I'm a Charles Gray fan at this point.
Good.
Ed Burchett brings up a really good point, and Ed is right. He says, when you're elected, please ask the board to lower the lakes as it has been
10 years, 11 years, I think.
he said 4 years overdue. And I would agree. I mean, my seawall is like falling into the lake because the non-enforcement of no wake zones. I mean, literally. I mean, it's falling in the lake. He's
I thought
absolutely
you had a
right.
wake boat. I thought you had a wake boat too. Don't you
No,
have a
sir.
wake boat?
No, sir. I don't have a wake boat.
No, I agree. It needs to be drawn down, and not because of Sylvania or anything. It needs to be drawn down for people to actually work on their structures. Whatever the case may be. And I'm not a fan of drawing down the lake, but it needs to be done every so often. We don't, this is not a natural lake. So it needs to be drawn down and taken care of.
That's a good
I
point.
totally
So,
agree. And the dam spillway needs to be taken care of. That would be a good time to do that, wouldn't it?
sure would. So I want to point out real quick that our good friend Barry Butler and some others have commented. Just that I was watching, he commented that this is Gray's first term. So,
oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, I thought he was in longer than that too, but apparently it's his first term according to the comments. So,
all right.
All right. So we got to move on and start talking about the PEC meeting and the city council meeting and all this other stuff. And I'm pretty sure you probably don't want to be seen on the same screen with us talking about all that. So let me ask you this.
Firsthand, so I don't want to do it again. So
right, but let's wrap up with this, and we really appreciate you taking the time to come on. I know you're kind of out and about this evening and all that. If you had to leave potential voters with one thing or a couple of quick things to think about when they go to the polls and why they should vote for you, what would those things be? Why should somebody go ahead and pull the lever for you?
I'm not going to ask them to pull the lever for me. Okay. My last post on Facebook or social media was that I believe that the most patriotic thing that we do in this country is voting. Okay. And voting with your mind and not necessarily your heart. Okay. Know who you're voting for, why you're voting for that person. Okay. I get on my app, the Go Vote app, and I look at all the amendments and I research the amendments before I decide to vote. I research the candidates. Okay. I'm a Christian conservative Republican. Okay. I've always have been. I wish some of my children were more Republican, but I can't do anything about that. They're all grown. My youngest is getting married in 3 days in Cancun, so I'm going to be out of the country for a while. But nonetheless, I want you to vote your conviction. Be convicted on who you vote for. Don't vote for your friend. No one knows who you vote for when you step into that booth. Okay, they can still be your friend afterwards. All right, vote your conscience. Vote informed. Okay, I don't want you to vote for me unless you want to vote for me. Okay, and you know where I stand. Okay, I stand ready to do service. I'm retired. I have no business interest. I have no conflict of interest. Never will. Okay, and I'm going to do what I need to do for this district. When you tell me something needs to be done, I'm going to work to get that done. I'm never going to make everyone happy. No one can make everyone happy, but I'm going to do my darndest to do that. I'm going to ask questions and I'm going to seek answers. So that's me. Okay. That's me in a nutshell. I'm not going to ask you to vote for me. Vote your conscience.
I can't disagree with that. What say you, Mr. Lowry?
I appreciate it, Andy. Thank you for coming on. And, hey, the early voting is happening now. And, I think you're a good candidate. You're a worthy candidate.
Rex, Duke, I want to say one more thing live here. You guys do a great service for this parish. And I, for one, and I know there's a bunch of people that will agree with me, think that you do a great job. Yeah, you stir the pot, which I think the pot needs to be stirred ever so often. Okay, but I want to let you know that I am grateful and thankful, and I appreciate what you two guys do. And I know everyone that's watching this probably think the same way.
Thank you, appreciate that. And hey, thank you for running because you're just trying to serve too. So it goes both ways.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank
If you
you,
need
Andy.
it,
Good luck.
yeah, if you need anything else, just holler at us or text us. Or if you got an issue or something like that, we'll be glad to have you back on.
I will. Go Tigers.
There you go. Go Tigers.